So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now today is draft day. After what seems like months and months of speculating and talking, the NFL draft is finally here, as it is just mere hours away. And with that being the case, and the fact that I wasn't able to get a video up yesterday, today, we have a couple videos in store. Today, right now at 1 o'clock, we are going to have the final mock draft for this draft season. At 5, we're going to put out the final draft predictions and what I think is going to happen with the Detroit Lions draft class. And then at 8 o'clock, as the NFL draft officially gets underway, we will be live streaming the entire event. But with that being said, and with all of that out of the way, let's of course get into the first video of the day as the final mock draft of the 2022 NFL offseason. Now, we're going to start off this draft with a controversial pick, as I truly believe, as I mentioned yesterday, as I talked about in the video 2 days ago, I truly believe Kyle Hamilton is the best pick for the Detroit Lions. Now, I've talked about Kyle Hamilton a ton. I've talked about his size, his speed, his production, what he would bring to the Detroit Lions, why he's the best player at the biggest position of need, why I would take him over Kayvon Thibodeau, why I would take him over Aiden Hutchinson, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, I truly think that Kyle Hamilton is the second best player in the class, and I think he is the best player for the biggest position of need, putting up over 138 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 8 interceptions, 16 passes defended, including one that he returned for a touchdown. The 6'4", 219-pound safety was a 2021 consensus All-American. He was easily the best safety in college football a season ago, and what he would bring to the Detroit Lions, he would bring range, he would bring ball skills, he would bring great instincts, great tackling ability. I mean, there are legitimately very few red flags when it comes to Kyle Hamilton because he's just simply that kind of a prospect, right? If you want to go back through draft classes of the past and find that unicorn of a prospect, right? Last year it was Kyle Pitts. The year before that, in 2020, it was Isaiah Simmons. The year before that, there was probably a unicorn prospect that I'm forgetting. But, every single year there seems to be that one guy that just stands out, whether he's just an abnormal size, right? He's bigger than what you would expect. He's faster. He's just a very, very good dynamic player that you don't see very often. That is Kyle Hamilton this year. He is the generational talent of this class. He is the 6'4", 219-pound safety that was clocked in at over 22 miles per hour during one of his games last season, with ball skills, with ball tracking, with instinct, with tackling ability. There are zero red flags about Kyle Hamilton other than maybe an injury that he sustained near the end of the season. If you can guarantee that his medicals are okay, Kyle Hamilton to me is the best player and is the best pick. Now at pick number 32, I have the Detroit Lions selecting Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. Now, if you want to say this is unrealistic because Devin Lloyd will not fall to number 32, I give you the fact that I am basing this off of my entire first round mock draft that I did a few days ago, and knowing that there's a lot of teams, there's a lot of mock drafts that don't even have Devin Lloyd anywhere near the top 32, right? They have him as a second round pick because linebackers just simply not that valuable anymore. Right? You look at JOK from a season ago, was arguably the best linebacker in this class, or in last year's class, and went middle of the second round. Linebacker just isn't as needed as it was a few seasons ago. It wasn't as needed as it was in the past. Just like a premier running back or a pocket passing quarterback, times have changed and linebackers have become much more expendable and much less prioritized. So I think Devin Lloyd will fall to the 32nd overall pick if the cards fall correctly. And I think if he does, I think the Lions will jump on the opportunity. Devin Lloyd is the number one draft class. He is the number one linebacker in this year's draft. He's a very good tackler. He's pretty good in coverage. He is the full package at the linebacker position while standing at 6'3", 235 pounds, putting up over 256 tackles, 43 tackles for loss, 15.5 sacks, 5 interceptions, three of which went for touchdowns, 8 more passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. He also was a 2021 consensus All-American as well as the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. He is a good leader. He elevated a Utah team that on paper should not have been a top 10 defense, should not have, won the Pac-12 in the way that they did. He elevated that defense, made that defense better than it would be. He cleaned up a lot of the problems that Utah had on the defensive side of the football a season ago. He can tackle, he can cover, he can blitz, he can do anything you want in a defense. And with the Detroit Lions linebacking core right now not being horrible, right? Jared Davis, Derek Barnes, and Alex Anzalone are not a bad top 3, and Chris Board, if you're putting him in the role of Jalen Reeves-Maybin, is not a bad player. I do believe that if Devin Lloyd does fall, you upgrade your position, you get long-term value at that position, as Jared Davis is on a 1-year deal, Alex Anzalone is on a 1-year deal, Chris Board is on a 1-year deal. You could lose arguably 2 of your top 3 and 3 of your top 4 linebackers just next offseason. So drafting Devin Lloyd at 32 shores up that future pick, shores up the talent that you have going into next season, gives you another player, gives you more talent at that linebacker position, and just solidifies that spot for the long-term future with the best value at 32. Now at 34, the Lions are going to select here as well. I know there are pretty good odds that the Detroit Lions may trade away either the 34th or the 32nd overall position, if not both. But in this mock draft, I wanted to stay at the top end, and I wanted to get the best player of value at every single pick. And with pick 34, Boye Mafa was on the board. Now, Boye Mafa is somebody that has mixed opinions by fans and mixed opinions by analysts. Some people have him as a late day 1 pick, and some people have him going as late as the 3rd round. It's really, up and down on how people feel about Boye Mafa, but when you compare Boye Mafa to the guy that very well might go number 1 overall in this class in Travon Walker, they're really not that similar, or they're really not that different, outside of the fact that Travon Walker had less production in his junior year than what Boye Mafa did. Boye Mafa is a 6'5" linebacker or a 6'5" edge rusher with a 10.0 RAS score, putting up over 87 tackles, 19.5 tackles for loss, 15 sacks, 3 passes defended, and 3 forced fumbles. He and Travon Walker athletically are almost the exact same player. From the size to the speed to the explosiveness grades to the 40 to the bench, whatever you want to compare at their combine, they are nearly identical in every single athletic testing and every single measurable that they use to grade off of RAS. And actually, Boye Mafa had a better raw athleticism score while measuring in at the exact same height, and I believe even just a little bit heavier than Travon Walker. He was within 1/100th of a second in the 40 and tested athletically in every single event that he participated in. The only difference is Boye Mafa went to a not very good Minnesota team, and Travon Walker went to a national champion in Georgia. That is the only difference. And the fact that Boye Mafa outproduced Travon Walker in their junior seasons respectively. But with that being said, that's why I picked Boye Mafa. Boye Mafa has the exact same upside, has just as much upside as Travon Walker in this class, but you're getting him 33 picks later. Maybe even you're getting him 30 to 33 picks later than what you would get Travon Walker for, and you're getting arguably a better product on day 1 with the same ceiling, the same upside. So if you trust your guys to develop that freakish athlete, why draft somebody at 2 when you could draft that same freakish athlete at the 34th overall position and still trust your guys to develop him into the proper and elite edge rusher that he can grow into with that athleticism. Now moving down to pick 66, this is actually the pick that I decided to trade away. way. I think pick 66 is in a very weird spot, as at this point in the draft, there was a lot of value emphasized at tight end, at running back, at, cornerback, which I didn't really want to address yet. The value positionally wasn't there for me with the Detroit Lions, so I wanted to trade this pick away, and I traded it with the Denver Broncos, who traded up using the 78th overall pick and the 118th overall pick. You fall down 12 spots in this year's class, but you pick up a 4th round pick that you did not previously have for the Detroit Lions. Going into this draft class, the Detroit Lions, after the 97th overall pick, don't pick again until pick 177. I don't think Brad Holmes is going to sit with that. I don't think he's okay with that, knowing the damage he did in the 114, 112 range a season ago, with obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown being the 112th pick and Derek Barnes being the 113th pick. I don't think Brad Holmes is going to be super comfortable sitting there for, a 70 pick gap between 97 and 177. I just really don't see that happening. So I think he's going to do everything in his power to pick up another 4th round pick for the Detroit Lions. And I think it's a good opportunity to move down a couple of spots, get that extra 4th round pick, and still walk away with a very good player at 77, and still walk away with a very good player at 78. So with that being the case, at the 78th overall pick, the Detroit Lions are going to stay defense, and they are going to pick up Phidarian Mathis, the defensive lineman from Alabama. Now, Phidarian Mathis is more of a one-year wonder kind of player and isn't nearly on the level of guys like Quentin Nelson, or isn't nearly on the level of guys like Quinnen Williams and some of the other Alabama defensive tackles to come out throughout the 2000s and 2010s. But Phidarian Mathis had a very good Alabama career in his own right, putting up over 129 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Phidarian Mathis is a very good player. He can rush the passer. He can be a very good run stopper. He was a starter on the Alabama defensive line for 2 straight seasons, which is not an easy thing to do because Alabama is arguably the best team in the country year in and year out. And standing at 6'4", 312 pounds, he would add solid rotation with Brockers, Levi, Aleem, and himself. He would be an instant improvement on the defensive line and the interior pass rush of the Detroit Lions. And at pick 78, again, there wasn't a ton of talent, there wasn't a ton of value for the Detroit Lions, but adding defensive line depth, adding another interior pass rusher on 3rd and long, you can put in Romeo Okwara, Charles Harris on the edges, and Levi and Phidarian Mathis on the interior. You're going to get very, very good pass rush because you can only double team one of those guys, and all 4 of those guys can be legit pass rushers on 3rd and long, can be legit pass rushers on a 4th down situation that you're guaranteed a pass play, right? It's exciting to think of what they could do with that rotation of defensive linemen and what that interior pass rush could look like if Phidarian Mathis or another interior pass rusher could become available to the Detroit Lions. Now, pick 97, this is the one pick that overlaps with the last mock draft, and that is David Bell, the wide receiver from Purdue. Now, to me, he fits this system perfectly. I think he's a head down, hard worker, day one type of guy that's just going to come in and work his butt off. He reminds me a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown from a season ago, right? Really good hype at the end of this season, put up great numbers in every single season that he was in college. Put up really good numbers every season that he was in college. But at the end of this season, he was looked at as, a second tier wide receiver, right? He was looked at as a second, maybe a 3rd round guy, a high 3rd round, late 2nd round pick at the very worst for David Bell. But just like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he tested average at the combine. Not poorly, didn't run a horrible 40, didn't have horrible explosive grades. I don't remember the exact number for his RAS score, but I do know it wasn't anything atrocious or anything horrible. But with guys like Chris Olave running great 40s, with guys like Garrett Wilson running great 40s, with Sky Moore and Calvin Austin III being just combine warriors and athletes that are incredible, David Bell seems to have fallen down the board without actually doing anything wrong, right? David Bell in his 3 years at Purdue put up over 2,900 yards on he put up over 2,946 yards on 232 receptions, having 21 receiving touchdowns in 29 games. He averaged over 100 yards per game at Purdue for his entire career with, let's just say, not the greatest quarterback play, and having to split targets with Rondale Moore for the first of those 2 seasons. I really think that David Bell could come in, although I don't think wide receiver is the biggest need on the team. I think it is certainly still a need that the Detroit Lions can address, and falling to pick number 97, I think David Bell would be a great pickup on day 3. Again, he reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown, somebody that I had a mid-second round grade on that's falling because he doesn't have 4.2 speed. He's falling because he doesn't have elite measurables and elite testing, but you don't need elite testing to be great in the NFL. Cooper Kupp didn't have elite testing. Devontae Adams didn't have elite testing at the NFL Combine. Neither did DeAndre Hopkins. Neither did Amon-Ra St. Brown. These guys that work out really well at the Combine, sure, they're fast. They can be very productive in the NFL, and sometimes it works out very well, but a lot of the times those workout warriors, those guys that, jump at the NFL Combine don't actually turn into a whole lot into the NFL. So I'm going to take the better product on tape. I'm going to take the better product statistically, and I'm going to take the guy that has all the intangibles without necessarily the 4.2 hype, and I'm going to take David Bell out of Purdue. Now moving on to day 3 of the NFL draft, this is where we're going to start to move a little bit quicker. As we pick 118, the Detroit Lions are going to go running back out of Georgia, as they are going to pick up Zamir White from the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, having over 2,000 rushing yards and 25 touchdowns while averaging 5.3 yards in the SEC, averaging 5.3 yards per carry in the SEC. This range was all running back and all tight end. I mean, you're talking about the top 15 to 20 players on the board were all running backs or tight end. And it was really between him and Jelani Woods. I think both of them are very good players, and I think both of them could become Detroit Lions. But at the end of the day, I had my eyes on a different tight end later in this draft class, so we went with Zamir White, somebody that's going to bring you instant impact. I think could be even a day 1 starter for some teams in the NFL. He won't have to be. He's going to split carries with DeAndre Swift. He's going to split carries with, Jamal Williams. And I feel like the 4th round might be a little early to address running back for a team that already has some good running backs, but that's where the value was in the draft. And as Brad Holmes is very keen on taking the best player available, that's what Zamir White was. And I think he's going to bring an instant impact, even if it's not a day 1 starter. Now at pick 177, I'm going to double up at safety, right? Because the safety position, even with Kyle Hamilton, is a little bit thin. Only 3 really good quality players, and the rest being special teams guys. If the Lions want to run 3 safety sets, and they want to move their defensive backs around, I think having 4 deep would be in the best interest of the Detroit Lions. And with that being the case, I think JT Woods at 177 is the best value pickup in this class. If you want to say, okay, safety after taking one at number 2 isn't your biggest need, just take a look at the fact that Deshaun Elliott is on a 1-year contract, and you could really use the safety depth if you're the Detroit Lions after losing most of your safeties to the injury bug a season ago. JT Woods, in his collegiate career, put up over 157 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 8 interceptions, all 8 of which came in the final 2 years of his college career, having 1 taken back to the end zone for a touchdown, 5 more passes defended, 4 fumble recoveries, including 1 fumble recovery that went for a touchdown. He's got range, he's got speed, he's got, length at the cornerback, or he's got length at the safety position. He could be a great coverage safety for the Detroit Lions. If Kyle Hamilton ends up getting hurt, I would even see, JT Woods starting over Deshaun Elliott at a high free safety position. I think safety is the biggest need on this team, and addressing it twice in the NFL draft, once in the 1st round and once in the late 5th, early 6th round, is something that I think, again, would be in the best interest of the Lions to future-proof the roster and add talent immediately to this Lions secondary. Now, Caleb Eleby, the quarterback from Western Michigan, is going to be my pick at 181. I don't think that Brad Holmes is an idiot. I don't think that Brad Holmes didn't watch the games a season ago. And I think Brad Holmes knows that David Blau and Tim Boyle are not the answers at the quarterbacking position. But I think he signed them because what you know about your quarterback, right? Getting a quarterback that you know his strengths and weaknesses versus going into free agency not knowing what quarterback you're going to have next year is a much scarier thing than going into free agency in the NFL draft with a guy that at the very least you know what you can do with that guy. And I think that's why Tim Boyle got re-signed to a 1-year deal, right? Not because he showed enough to earn that 1-year deal, but because they know what Tim Boyle can do. They know what his strengths and weaknesses are, and they know what they're going to look like with Tim Boyle at the helm. Whereas if you let both of your quarterbacks go into free agency, you're going into this season with just Jared Goff on the roster, not knowing what you're going to be able to sign, not knowing who you're going to be able to bring in. But I don't think just because they re-signed Tim Boyle that they're out on a quarterback entirely. Caleb Eleby at Western Michigan had a 63.6% completion percentage throughout his collegiate career, throwing for 6,084 yards, 45 touchdowns to just 13 interceptions. And on top of that, he has 13 rushing touchdowns. So he's even a little bit mobile and can even move out of the pocket a little bit. Caleb Eleby has a very good release, has very good accuracy. I mean, he's just kind of a, three-step drop, read, and throw kind of quarterback. He's not going to be like a Lamar Jackson scrambler, but if you need him to pick up a first down with his legs, he can absolutely do that. He's not going to be, a Patrick Mahomes level arm, but he's going to be accurate. He's going to have a quick release, and he's going to read the field very, very well. I think the Lions do look to upgrade at quarterback, and I think it upgrades the current quarterback room while giving you, again, another future position. I think he's backup quarterback year 1. Maybe he comes in as quarterback 3. Maybe he even comes in at quarterback 4. But I think it gives you the opportunity to move on from Tim Boyle next season if it doesn't work out and have a very quality backup quarterback at the Detroit Lions if it does come into need and if that position does come into play like it did a season ago. Now moving down to pick 217, I have the Detroit Lions trading this pick away as well with the Arizona Cardinals. Now with that being the case, I have the Detroit Lions looking for 2 more players in this class because there are 2 more players that I identified that I really wanted to take a shot on. So I traded this 217 pick away for pick 244 and 257. These are both guys that are going to be late first round picks, but guys that I think can either be really good special teams players or develop into something really special. So with that being said, moving now to pick 244, the Detroit Lions are going to select Montrick Brown, the cornerback from Arkansas, putting up 127 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions, 15 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries while leading the SEC a season ago with 5 interceptions. The 6-foot cornerback from Arkansas is a little undersized, a little bit slept on, but based off of his production, based off of his physicality, based off the fact that he led the SEC in interceptions a season ago, and knowing that you can never have enough secondary members in the defense of Aaron Glenn, I think that he'd be a very good pickup as a 7th round flyer. At the very worst, he comes in and has a special teams, a minimal effect on the special teams like Brady Breeze did a season ago as an undrafted free agent, or best case scenario, somebody gets hurt, which obviously wouldn't be best case scenario, but best case scenario for him, he gets a little bit of playing time, whether it be through injury or whether it be through he's just playing very well, and he has a Jerry Jacobs type impact and plays as a quality starter as a late round pick, undrafted free agent type guy from the University of Arkansas. And then with the very last pick, I'm going to take Amari Rodgers, the tight end from Ohio. Now he played quarterback at the University of Ohio, meaning you could run some trick plays with him if you really wanted to, but standing at 6'5", running a 4.41 4-yard dash with a 36-inch vertical. He transitioned to tight end for the Shrine Bowl. He transitioned to tight end for the Combine, and he is transitioning to the NFL he's transitioning to tight end for the NFL. I think that he has elite upside. He absolutely dominated the Shrine Bowl down in Vegas, and his first time ever running routes, he got separation. He had very good hands. You could tell he was a little bit raw, but you could also tell the potential that was there. The potential that's there is a Darren Waller type impact. 6'5", 4.4 speed is rare in the NFL. And if you have any faith in your tight ends coach to add a vertical weapon and develop somebody with all the tools and all the raw athleticism to become a top 5 tight end in the NFL receiving wise, then you're going to take Amari Rodgers somewhere in the draft, whether it's going to be undrafted free agency, whether it's going to be the last pick of the 7th round in your mock draft or the last pick of the 7th round in your draft class. Amari Rodgers should be drafted late in this class based off just the upside alone. There is no risk involved at the 157th pick. It is the 3rd to last pick in the NFL draft, And I think that he could develop into something incredibly special. I think his upside, I think his willingness to change positions is kind of like Jason Kabinda, showing that, he's going to do anything to play football. He loves the game of football, which I think is something that Dan Campbell is really going to be appealed by. I think the upside is going to be just too much to pass up on with this pick. It's going to be a 7th round flyer, but a 7th round flyer with legit upside and not just a guy that's going to contribute on special teams for 4 to 5 years before you let him walk. So with all of that being said, that is my final mock draft of the 2022 NFL draft season. The Lions upgrade the defense extensively. They get a backup quarterback and a couple other role players for the offense in order for Jared Goff to see the most success in the 2022 NFL season. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft down in the comments below. If this mock draft were to come true, let me know down in the comments below what grade you would give this mock. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you would change. And of course, with that being said, that is life for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.